The sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the inky waters of the open sea. My heart pounded as I clung to the wheel of our sailboat, the whispering wind, with white-knuckled desperation. The once promising family adventure had taken a nightmarish turn, and terror clung to me like the salt spray that now drenched my face. We had set sail on this journey to bond, to escape the mundanity of our daily lives. My wife, Sarah, had always been the adventurous one, and she convinced me that a week on the open sea would be just the ticket. Our 2 children, Emily and Ethan, had been thrilled at the idea of a sailing adventure with their parents. But now, in the depths of this moonless night, the excitement had curdled into dread. It had started subtly with the disappearance of the stars, swallowed by a looming mass of clouds that seemed to materialize out of thin air. A shiver ran down my spine as the sails flapped violently, the wind suddenly abandoning us. I cursed our ill luck, but Sarah remained stoic, insisting that this was all part of the adventure. As the hours passed, the sea grew eerily calm. The once celestial heavens were replaced by an inky blackness that pressed in on us from all sides. The silence was suffocating, and the oppressive darkness seemed to seep into our very souls. Sarah's voice broke the silence. "We should check the GPS," she suggested, her tone strained. I nodded and headed below deck, leaving her in charge of the wheel. I stared at the GPS screen, my heart sinking as I saw the blinking dot representing our boat drifting aimlessly in the vast expanse of the ocean. Panic surged within me, but I tried to maintain my composure. "We must be off course," I muttered to myself, feeling a wave of guilt for not paying closer attention to our navigation. As I climbed back up to the deck, the boat jolted violently. Sarah screamed, and I rushed to the wheel, desperately trying to regain control. The sea had transformed into a churning abyss, and the boat rocked as if caught in the grip of some unseen monster. Emily and Ethan clung to each other, wide-eyed with terror. I fought to steady the whispering wind, my hands trembling on the wheel. But it was as if the very sea itself had turned against us. Waves crashed over the deck, soaking us to the bone. I could hear the creaking and groaning of the boat's timbers as if they were being torn asunder. "Mom, Dad, what's happening?" Emily cried out, her voice trembling. "I don't know, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her face pale. "Just hold on." In the distance, a haunting sound reached our ears. It was a mournful, otherworldly wail that sent shivers down my spine. I glanced at Sarah, and I could see the same fear mirrored in her eyes. We both knew this was no ordinary storm. The boat continued to thrash in the tumultuous waters, and I realized with horror that we were being dragged toward something colossal lurking beneath the surface. It was then that I caught a glimpse of it, a massive, shadowy form that seemed to stretch on forever, with grotesque appendages reaching up toward the surface. "Back away!" I shouted, my voice barely audible over the raging storm. I desperately turned the wheel, trying to steer us away from the nightmare lurking below. The boat protested, but I pushed it to its limits, praying that it would respond. The shadowy form loomed closer, its monstrous limbs rising higher and higher. Panic gripped me, but I refused to give in to despair. With one final, desperate effort, I managed to veer the boat away from the approaching horror. It was a heart-stopping moment, but the whispering wind responded, and we surged away from the abyss. As the boat settled into calmer waters, the storm gradually subsided, and the clouds above began to disperse. The stars reappeared, twinkling overhead as if they had never left. We were safe for now. Exhausted and drenched, we huddled together on the deck, our bodies trembling with a mixture of relief and fear. The memory of the monstrous, unseen terror lurking beneath the waves haunted us, and none of us spoke of it. We knew that we had encountered something beyond human comprehension, something that defied the laws of nature. The remainder of our sailing trip was a somber affair. The once promised adventure had turned into a nightmare, and the bond we had sought to strengthen had been tested to its limits. We made it back to shore, but we left the whispering wind behind, a vessel forever tainted by the horrors we had encountered. To this day, we carry the memory of that night with us, a chilling reminder that there are things in this world that defy explanation, and that the sea, vast and unknowable, holds secrets darker than the depths themselves. Our family adventure had indeed brought us closer, but it was a closeness forged in the crucible of terror, a bond born of surviving the unimaginable.